This conference will now be recorded.
वाग्भटाचार्य मध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् रागादिरोगान् सततानुषक्तान् अशेषकाय प्रसृतान् अशेषान् औत्सुक्यमोहारदिदान् जघान यो पूर्ववैद्याय नमोस्तु तस्मै. Namaskaram to all. Today we will continue with the Rakta Kshaya or Kshina Rakta Lakshanas. So, what all karmas the Kshina Rakta is going to do, that is what we are discussing. Raktemla Shishira Preeti Sira Shaidhilya Rukshata. Raktemla Shishira Preeti Sira Shaidhilya Rukshata. I think we need not go through the explanation in too much detail because it is self-explanatory. Rakte, Shine Rakte or Rakte Shine. Amla Preeti, Shishira Preeti, Sira Shaidhilya Rukshata. Sira Shaidhilyam Rukshata. Amla Preeti, desire to consume Amla Rasa Dravya. Shishira Preeti, desire to be in a Shita environment or maybe Ahara Vihara. Then Sira Shaidhilyam. Sira Shaidhilyam. Sort of loosening of Siras. These words Sira, Dhamani, Srotas, all these things are having some special meaning, but we can see them used interchangeably. So here again, it need not reflect same meaning as in all other places. That is one issue. So contextually, we have to understand what could be the most probable meaning here. Sira here is the that srotas which carries rakta. So when there is rakta kshaya, all areas where this rakta dhatu is a predominating factor or a predominant component, there will be reflections of the same. So the rakta drava, the avayava, which is moving through the sira, that is the jiva shonita. That jiva shonita is a rakta dhatu predominant desha. So when there is rakta dhatu kshaya, that will be reflecting in that jiva shonita, and accordingly there will be a kshaya manifesting in that desha, and as a result there will be some sort of a loosening or lack of fullness felt in the siras. Sira shaidhilyam rukshata raukshya. So we find a similar lakshana of raukshya in rasakshaya as well. Here in raktakshaya also we find raukshya or rukshata. Actually, all dhadukshaya will cause Raukshya or Rukshada, because all dhadus are snigdha. So they are all made out of sneha. So when there is a dhadukshaya, obviously there will be uh, snehakshaya, which will be manifested as rukshada. So we find rukshada in rasakshaya, we find rukshada in raktakshaya. Everywhere it should be there, but here it is highlighted because of their because of its uh, very visible presence. Very visible presence. But interestingly, this kshaya of sneha, or in other terms, this rukshata, will be primarily seen at the level of tvak. Primarily at the level of tvak. So all rukshata will be looking alike that way. But to understand the level in which the kshaya has happened, we will have to look into other the presence of other lakshanas. Then only we will understand whether it is a rasakshaya or it has reached the level of raktakshaya or so on. So raktemla shishira priti sira shaidhilya rukshata. Then comes mamsakshaya lakshanas. Mamse kshaglani Gandaspik Shushkada Sandhi Vedana. Actually, there is a alternative version. During my college days, we were learning that version. That is Mamse Kshiglani. Mamse Akshiglani Gandaspik Shushkada Sandhi Vedana. Which seems to be a better observation as well. Mamse Akshiglani. Akshi is specific to Netra. Aksha is Netra, but it is not specific to it. It is common to all Indriyas. In Mamsakshaya, you find Akshiglani. Glani is one word which we discussed the other day. The Glani is sort of tired appearance. So the Akshi, the Netra Avayava, appears to be tired, sunken maybe. Mamse Akshiglani. How it can be explained as sunken? Because the rest of the explanations indicates such a change. That means Ganda speaks Shushkada. So in the same change we can explain in the Netraveva or the that Akshikuda. So it is Akshiglani, Gandaspik Shushkada, and Sandhivedana. Sandhivedana is caused, obviously, we all know, because it is basically a dhadu which was doing Lepana Karma. So, Sandhivedana, when there is Mamsakshaya, this will be present all over the body. Then, all the terms are clear. Now we will, I think with this Rakta and Mamsa, we will find some of the details given in Ashtanga Sangraha as well, because it is a bit elaborate and that is really interesting as well. So I think we will just read or recollect what is explained in Ashtanga Sangraha in this context, which all the explanations are relevant. In Ashtanga Sangraha, we find Twagraukshya Amla Shidabhilasha Sirashaidilyaihi Asruk. So the Raukshyam, which is used as a generalized term in Ashtanga Hridaya, can be seen made specific as Twagrauksyam. Twagraukshya amlashidabhilasha sirashaidhilyaihi asrik. So nothing extra, but the explanation is more vivid. Then regarding mamsam, spiggandadi shushkada तोदरौक्ष्य अक्षिग्लानि सन्धिस्फोडन धमनीशैथिल्यैः मांसम्. So there is a change in the priority of explanation. Spiggandadi shushkada toda raukshya. Again we find raukshya, which was not specified in Ashtanga Hridaya. Here we find it as a specific feature. Spiggandadi shushkada toda raukshya. Then akshiglani, which all we saw in Ashtanga Hridaya also. Sandhispodana, sandhispodanam, the crackling sounds from the joints. Sandhispodana. Dhamani shaidhilyaihi. So sira shaidhilyam was present in Rektakshaya. In Mamsakshaya, here we find Dhamani shaidhilyam. Again, here this Dhamani shaidhilyam need not represent the same meaning, or need not give the same meaning all across the literature. That is a problem. Here it is related to the Mamsa, so we should understand it in that context only. And Dhamani Shaidhilyehi Mamsam. Then going back to the Ashtanga Hridaya, further we find Meda Kshaya or Kshina Meda Lakshanas. Medasi Swapanam Katyah Plinho Vruddhi Krishangada. Medasi Swapanam Katyah Plinho Vruddhi Krishangada. Medasi, Kshine Medasi. When the Medo Dhadu is Kshina, Swapanam Katyaha, Swapanam, Suptaiva, means there is a feeling of numbness. Suptaiva, that is Swapanam. So, Katyaha Swapanam, Katyaha Sparshatnyatvam, as if it has become numb. The Kadi Desham is becoming numb. Katyaha Swapanam. Then Plinno Vruddhihi. Plinno Vruddhi. Plinno Vruddhi. Vruddhi. Vruddhi is increase in size, increase in bulk of Pliha. Pliha Vruddhi. Meantime, Krishangada. Angada Avayavata. Krishangada. All Avayavas will show sort of Karsyam. Karsyam of in terms of bulk. Krishata in terms of bulk. So Medas is supposed to be one or the principal dhadu which is giving bulk to the body. So when Medas is Kshina, we find Krishangada. And the other lakshanas. Swapanam Katyaha Plinho Vruddhi Krishangada. Moving to Ashtanga Sangraham, we will find Pliha Vruddhi, Kadi Swabha, Sandhi Shunyata. Sandhi Shunyata. It is an interesting lekshan. Sandhi Shunyata. Then Angarauksham. Angarauksham. The entire body is showing Rukshata. Angarauksham. Karsyam Krishata. Shramam. Shramam means the getting exhausted with minimum effort. Then Shosham. So there is karsyam as well as shosham. Here the karsyam gives you the appearance, and shosham shows the process. Then medura mamsabhilashaihi. That is an interesting note. Along with all these things, the individual shows medura mamsabhilasham, desire to eat meat. What sort of meat? Medura mamsam. Medura mamsam, the mamsam with plenty of medas in it. So the desire, an instinctive desire to eat mamsa which contains lot of medas. Medura mamsabhilashai. Why it is happening? We will come to it later in this same chapter itself. So, pliha vruddhi, kadi swaba, sandhi shunyata, angaraukshya, karshya, shrama, shosha, medura mamsabhilashaihi plus mamsakshayoktahi cha lakshanaihi. Along with this, the mamsakshayokta lakshanas, all those lakshanas which were explained as the mamsakshaya lakshanas, they also happen in this medakshaya. In the vriddhi also we find such a similarity. That shows the closeness of those two dhadus in terms of their quality of sneha. Then coming to asthi, asthi dhadu kshaya, asthini asthitodah, shtanga hridaya, asthini asthitodah, shatanam dandakesha nakhadishu. Shatanam dandakesha nakhadishu. Asthini, kshine asthini, asthini kshine, asthitodaha, asthanam todaha, todaha vedana vishesha. So something like a bond breaking pain. Asthitodaha, asthanam, asthini, asthitodaha. So here also the avayava called asthi is one major seat where asthi dhadu is the major component. So that is very easy to manifest in such a site. Then dandakesha nakhadishu shatanam. Dandakesha nakhadishu shatanam. Shatanam shataha. That means falling off. Padaha. So falling off of dandakesha nakha. Dandakesha and nakha are representations of asthi dhadu in sharira. So when there is asthi dhadu kshaya, all its representations also share the condition or the manifestation. Asthi dandakesha nakha shatanam. When we look at Ashtanga Sangraha, we find almost all the features given here. But again, there is a change in the order of presentation. Danda Nakha Roma Kesha Shatana. So Danda Nakha Roma Kesha. Roma and Kesha. Roma shows the hair on all parts of the body, whereas Kesha is specific to the head or the scalp. So Danda Nakha Roma Kesha Shatana Raukshya. Again Raukshya comes. Again Raukshya comes. That Raukshya can be specifically manifested or maybe explored in these areas. That means Danda Nakha Roma Kesha. in this Danta, Nakha, Roma, Kesha areas, you can expect that Raukshyata manifested to the best. Then Parushya. Again, it is the Parushya of the entire Sharira, but more specific to these areas. Parushya, Sandhi Shaidhilya. Previously in Mamsakshaya and Medakshaya, we find Sandhi Shunyata. Here it is again Sandhi Shaidhilya, Shladha Sandhita. Then Asthitoda, Astibadha Mamsabhilashaihi Asti. Very interesting. Here the individual shows a specific interest in consuming or eating mamsa, but that mamsa is very specific. Astibadha mamsa bhilasha. The mamsa which is attached to asti, to that mamsa, the individual shows some sort of a like or interest. Astibadha mamsabhilashaihi astihi. Nashtang we saw asthini astitodaha sadanam dandakesha nakhadishu. Then coming to the majjakshayam, asthnam majjani saushiryam brahma timira darshanam. Asthnam majjani saushiryam brahmastimira darshanam. Majjani, kshine majjani. When the majja is kshina, majja dhatu is kshina, asthnam saushiryam. It is very categorically mentioned that the dharma of majja is asthipuranam, about which we discussed in detail in one of our previous sessions. Whether it is just about the Asthipuranam or whether it can have a different shade of meaning. And we discussed it in detail. Now, taking that Asthipurana Dharma as the prime Dharma of Majja, here we find Asthanam Saushiryam. When there is Majjakshayam or Kshina Majjata, we find Asthanam Saushiryam. Then Brahmaha, Brahmaha, Asthana, the Majja is a very is a type of Sneha which is very commonly used as a type of Sneha, unlike asti or mamsam or something like that. So it is a very commonly used form of, commonly extracted form of sneha. And when that sneha is kshina, there will be a very thick presence of or possibility of vada vruddhi, which is going to manifest as different types of lakshanas, including brahmam, and there is timira darshanam. Timira darshanam means sort of blackout, maybe for a while or sometimes prolonged feeling of blackness everywhere around for a shorter period or a longer period. That is timira darshanam. So that shows, as we mentioned the other day, of course, it is a representation of Vada Vritti. Apart from that, it shows the specific interest or specific influence of Majja Dhadu in Indriyas, of which the Netra is a representative. This sort of a change should be happening at the levels of all Indriyas, and the Majjakshaya can be one prime factor where the sort of indriya sadam, indriya kshinata, indriya daurbalyam is going to manifest clinically. Then in Ashtanga Sangraha, we find Asti Saushirya Nistoda Daurbalya Brahma Tamo Darshanaihi Majja. Of course, it is almost in tune with what we find in Ashtanga Hridaya. Then coming to the Shukradhadu Kshaya or Kshina Shukradhaduta, we find Shukre Chiral Prasichyeda Shukram Sonidameva va Todotyartham Vrishanayoho Medram Dhumaya Diva cha. Shukre Chiral Prasichyeda Shuklam Sonidameva va Todotyartham Vrishanayoho Medram Dhumaya Diva cha. So here we find Shukrakshaya Lakshanas. Shukre Chine, Chiral Prasichyeda, Chiral Prasichyeda. Chiral shows a sort of a delay in time, delay in time. So Chirad Prasichyeda, here it is indicative of the time taken or the act of ejaculation. And so here Chirad Prasichyeda means during a sexual contact, it takes longer time for Shukra Prasegam. It takes longer time for Shukra Prasegam. Then Shukram Shonitameva va Prasichyeda. Shukram Chirad Prasichyeda Shonitameva Prasichyeda va. So it can be blood itself which is coming out as the prasega instead of in the place of Shukra, Rakta itself, Shonida itself, maybe the fluid which is coming out. Then Vrishanayoho Atyartham Todaha. Again, this is also in connection. All these things are to be understood in connection with the sexual contact. So there will be Vrishanayoho Atyartham Todaha and Medram Dhumaya Divacha. So Atyartham Todaha, where in Vrishana, Vrishanayoho, testicles, and Medram Dhumaya Divacha, the penis feels Dhumayanam, sort of a burning type of pain. Again, all these things are in at the time of sexual contact. So Medram Dhumaya Diva cha. So here, as we discussed in the case of our Shukra Vruddhi, that Adhistri Kamada Vrutham Shukram Shukrashmari Mapi. Here again, this Shukram represents or the ejaculatory fluid in men or male, which is actually a partial explanation. In Shukrakshaya, apart from this, you should look for many other features, especially in terms of the kshaya of one of the finest type of sneha, which is the product of a series of refinements which is happening in the body. So there is a series of Agni involvement in it, and which is supposed to be one of the finest sneha that a body, a living body, can ever make. So that sort of a sneha kshaya will be manifested. And in one of our previous sessions, we discussed how this majja and shukra junction is very important, and how the sampurna dhadutvam, and again the desire to continue to be immortal, and the act of procreation, all these things are related to the grade of sneha and the quality of sneha which is getting generated at this level of dhatu parinama. We have discussed all those things in detail, and how it is related to the sharira indriya sattva atma in that series as well. How the sharira is getting connected to the sattva through again an intermediary of indriya, the presence of indriya we discussed in detail. So the involvement of Majja and Shukra in deciding the functional status of Indriyas that we have discussed. So definitely this Shukra Kshaya will be presenting in various forms other than these lakshanas which are explained exclusively related to the male experience or masculine experience of sexual contact. Coming to Ashtanga Sangraha, we can find them explained in a bit elaborate way, which will be showing the message which I was trying to convey. Say for example, in Sangraha, we find the text explaining Shrama, Daurbalya, Asya Shosha, Timira Darshana, Angamarda, Panduta, Sadana, Klaibya, Mushkatoda, Medradhumayanaihi, Chirada cha Nishekena, Sarekta Nishekena va Shukram. So here we find a more realistic representation of Shukradhatu Kshaya. Shrama, Daurbalya, Asya Shosha, Timira Darshana, Angamarda, Panduda, Sadana, Klaibya, Mushkatoda, Medradhumayanaihi. Then what is seen in Ashtanga Hridaya can be seen here also. That means Chiracha Nishegena, Sarekta Nishegena va Shukram. Kshinam Shukram. So I think to get a correct picture, we need to go through the explanations of the Ashtanga Sangraha as well. Then we move forward to the Malas, because now we have completed doshas and dhadus in terms of their Kshina Lakshanas or Kshaya Lakshanas. Now coming to the Malas, first we find the Kshaya Lakshanas of Purisha. Purishe Vayurandrani Sashabdo Veshtayanniva Kutshau Brahmadi Yati Urdhvam Kritparshve Pidayan Bhrisham. Purishe Vayurandrani Sashabdaha Veshtayanniva Kutshau Brahmadi Yati Urdhvam Kritparshve Pidayan Bhrisham. Purishe Chine, when there is Purisha Kshaya, when there is Purisha Kshaya, what happens? There is an emptiness formed in the Andhra, and Vayu occupies that empty space. So what happens? Vayu. What sort of Vayu? Sashabdaha Vayu. Sashabdaha Vayu. Andrani Veshtayaniva. Veshtayan. Veshtanam, to tie. So it moves. Vayu Veshtayan iva Kutshau Brahmadi. Kutshau Brahmadi. In Kutshi, Brahmadi moves around. Moves around. So the Vayu moves around Kutshau in the Kutshi. How? Sashabdaha. Then Andrani Veshtayaniva, as if it is tying the andras inside. So you will be feeling, the person will be feeling his or her andras or the intestines inside are getting tied up and getting released, obviously. So the feeling of getting tied up and getting released repeatedly is happening here. So Sashabdaha Veshtayanniva Kutshau Brahmadi Urdhvam Yadi. At times from the level of the Kutshi, Urdhvam Yadi. It moves upward. How? Kritparshve Bhrisham Pidayan. Bhrisham Pidayan. Pidayan, causing pain. Causing pain. How? Bhrisham, severe. Causing severe pain. Where? Hrit Parshve, in the Hrit Desha and Parshva Desha. in the Hridesha and Parshvadesha, that Vayu is causing Bhrisham, Pidayan, severe pain, when it is moving up, Otherwise, it moves around within the Kutshi, causing peculiar type of painful feeling of the andhras, the intestines getting tied tightly and released. So that sort of a feeling is the feature of Purisha Shaya. We find the explanation in Ashtanga Sangraham as well. Sashabdasya vayoho kutshau tiryaga urdhvam cha brahmanena आंध्रवेष्टनेन पार्श्वहृदय पीडनेन अल्पया च सकृत् सशब्दस्य वायोः कुक्षौ तिर्यग ऊर्ध्वं च भ्रमणेन आंध्रवेष्टनेन पार्श्वहृदय पीडनेन अल्पदया च सकृत्. So there will be alpada. Alpada of Shagrit is also given as a Lakshana. Alpada of Shagrit is also given as a Lakshana. Okay, so that is clear. Then we move onward to Mutra Kshaya Lakshanas. Mutra Kshaya Lakshanas. Mutrelpam mutrayed krichrad vivarnam sasrameva va. Mutrelpam mutrayed krichrad vivarnam sasrameva va. Mutre kshine alpam mutrayed. How? Krichrad. Krichram shows the painful experience of passing the mutra in this context. So alpam mutram is passed out with pain, with difficulty. Krichrad alpam mutrayed, and that mutram will be vivarnam, which is unusual in its color. Vivarnam, which is abnormal color, which is abnormal in its color. Vivarnam. Sasram evava. Sometimes the mutram is sasram, rektena sahitam, rekta mishrita mutra pravritti, then krichra mutra pravritti, alpa mutra pravritti. These are the features of mutra kshaya. In Sangraha we will find Vastinistoda, Mukhashosha, Krichralpa Vivarna Mutradibhihi, Sarudhira Mutradayava Mutram. So we find certain features. You need not expect, or you need not look for all these features in every case of Mutrakshaya. So you can make your own standards to diagnose Mutrakshaya. When will you diagnose it as a case of Mutrakshaya? That's all. Then moving further, we find Swedakshaya Lakshana. Swedakshaya Lakshanas. Swede Romachyutihi, Stabdha Romata, Spudanam Tvachaha. Swede Romachyuti, Stabdha Romata, Spudanam Tvachaha. Swede Kshine. What all things we find? Romachyutihi. Swedam is having that function of Keshadharanam, like Kleda Dharanam. We saw it earlier in its normal function. So when there is Sveda Kshaya, we find Roma Chuti. Then Stabdha Romata. Stabdha Romata. Stabdhada, a stagnated condition. Not growing. There is Roma, but it is not growing. Stabdha Romata. Tvachaha Spudanam cha. Tvak Spudanam. Tvachaha Spudanam. Spudanam is cracking. Cracking of Tvak. Spudanam Tvachaha. So that shows the lack of that Kleda Dharana. When there is Kleda Dharana, Dharmam is not there, there is Spudanam Tvaja. When Kesha Dharana, Dharmam is not there, we find Stabdha Romada and Roma Chuti. In Ashtanga Sangraha, we find Stabdha Roma Kupata, Roma Chavana, Tvak Paripadana, then Swapa, Parushya, Swedanashaihi Swedaha. So we find Swapam, Suptaiva, Swapam, Parushyam, roughness, and Swedanasha, lack of Svedana. So these features are also included in Ashtanga Sangraha in this context of Sveda Kshaya. So with that, we conclude the major three malas as well, that is Purisham, Mutram and Svedam. And as we saw in the case of that Durlakshya Sukshma malas, in their Kshaya, what is happening? That is what is explained or discussed next. We find Malanam Adisukshmanam Durlakshyam Lakshayed Kshayam Swamalayana Samsosha Toda Shunyatva Laghavai. Malanam Adisukshmanam Durlakshyam Lakshayed Kshayam. Malanam Adisukshmanam. Adisukshmanam Malanam. Dushigadina. Adisukshmanam Malanam Durlakshyam. Durlakshyam Dukkhena Lakshya. That is Durlakshya. Lakshyam, something which can be noted or noticed. That is Dukkhena Lakshya. Very difficult to identify the presence of. That is Durlakshya. So Adisukshmanam Malanam Durlakshyam Kshayam Lakshayed. From that Durlakshya Bhava, you should Lakshayed, assume Tesham Kshayam. They have gone to the stage of Kshaya. Then along with that, Swamalayana Samsosham. Swamalayana Samsosha. Malayanam Malamargam. So the corresponding Malayanas show Samsosham, Shoshatva, Shushkata, dryness, Todam, pain, Shunyatvam, emptiness, Lakhavam, lightness. So with the lightness, the emptiness, the painfulness, the dryness of the Malayanas, corresponding Malayanas, you should infer their Kshaya. Apart from that, Durlakshyata is also a feature of Dushigadinam Adisukshmanam Malanam Kshayam. Malanam Adisukshmanam Durlakshyam Lakshayed Kshayam Swamalayana Samsosha Toda Shunyatva Laghavai. In Ashtanga Sangraham, we will find Anyepicha Malaha यथायथं मलायनं शोषशून्यत्वलाघवैः अन्येपि च malaः, the other क्षीण malas, यथायथं respectively शोषशून्यत्वलाघवैः by the presence or presentation of shosha, shunyatva and laghava, malayanam pidayadi, it causes pida, pain of the corresponding malayanas. So by that feeling of pain which is caused by the shosha, shunyatva and laghava of the malayana, you should infer the corresponding mala kshaya. So that is it. Malanam adisukshmanam durlakshyam lakshayed kshayam swa malayana samshosha toda shunyatva laghavaihi. Then, having told this, like the general method followed in this textbook, Vagbhada is trying to give you a generalized version of understanding this kshaya, vriddhi, all these features. Whatever we have seen in the last few slokas, now he is putting a highly generalized notion. What is that? Doshadinam yadhaswam cha vidyad vriddhikshayau bhishak kshayena viparidhanam gunanam vardhanena cha. Doshadinam yadhaswam cha vidyad vriddhikshayau bhishak kshayena viparidhanam gunanam vardhanena cha. There are 3 doshas, there are 7 dhadus, and there are many malas, of which 3 are considered as the most important. All these things are supposed to be panchabhaudika dravyas, including 3 doshas. So they are having their own special type of or peculiar type of guna vinyasa krama, peculiar type of guna sannivesha. So that guna sannivesha of a particular permutation and combination is the identity of that particular principle, whether it is vada dosha or majja dhatu, or whether it is kabha dosha or rasa dhatu or purisha. A peculiar type of guna vinyasa, type of permutation and combination of the gunas, that defines that particular dhatu, dosha or mala. Now, doshadinam yathaswam cha vidyad prathikshayo bhishak. Yathaswam vridhikshayo vidyad. The vriddhi and kshaya of a principle, let it be dosha, dhatu or mala. Vriddhi kshaya, vriddhi and kshaya respectively may be understood. How? Respectively, viparidhanam gunanam kshayena viparidhanam gunanam vardhanena cha. Kshayena viparidhanam gunanam vardhanena cha. So, vriddhi kshayau, vriddhi and kshaya. The vriddhi can be understood. Vriddhi of a principle can be understood by an alternative method of looking at the presence or the abundance of its viparita guna. The presence of the viparita guna. If that viparita guna shows a remarkable kshaya, that tells us about the vriddhi of a particular principle. In the same way, the kshaya of a particular principle can be identified by the vriddhi of its viparita guna. These are all common sense issues. So you need not bother or burn your heads to understand this. It is nothing serious. That is when the see the rukshata is increasing, obviously you can expect that the snigdhata is decreasing. Or when the uh, that is viparita guna. What is happening to the viparita guna? That is what we are looking for in this generalization statement. Why this is done when all the specific lakshanas are already given? This is given even in the case a particular condition where you are not able to make out those specific lakshanas as explained in the textbook, but still on a thorough scanning, you find that there are some changes in the distribution of the gunas. Then that is sufficient. Understanding that particular pattern in which the gunas are getting changed, you may be able to come to valid conclusions regarding what is happening to the particular dosha, what is happening to a particular dhatu or a particular mala. So that is the purpose, sole purpose of this explanation. Doshadinam yathaswancha vidyad vruddhikshayo bhishak kshayena viparidanam gunanam vardhanena cha. There is one more line. Vruddhim malanam sangacha kshayam cha adhivisargata. That is specific to the mala, where this mala pravritti is a particular factor. Normally, there is no normal dosha pravritti, there is no normal dhatu pravritti, but there is normal mala pravritti. So to add on what is explained with the dosha dhatu mala as a general statement before, a specific note regarding the status of malas can be given explained, which we will see in our next session. So here we conclude.
Prasad sir,
Yes.
one query is popping in the chat box. Can we take that
Okay.
and that can?
Oh, sure, sure. What is it? Let me see. Okay, fine. In Purisha Kshaya, what does Kshaya mean? Like Purisha in the body is Kshaya, or Purisha coming out of the body is Kshaya? That is what we are going to discuss in our next sessions. We will discuss it in our next session because it is the thing what is there stuff in our next shlokas.
Yes sir,
Is
yes sir,
that enough?
definitely. Yes sir,
Yeah,
yes sir,
yeah. We will do that in our next session.
yes sir. Thank you Prasad sir. Thank you everyone.
Okay,
Shubhratri to
okay,
all.
okay. Shubharatri, Shubharatri.